Let's begin. The first part I got highlighted here, it's literally page 74. It says Dr. John A. Schindler, author of How to Live 365 Days a Year, and who introduced the concept of emotionally induced illness, won national or nationwide fame for his outstanding success in helping unhappy, neurotic people regain the joy of living and return to productive, happy lives. His percentage of cures far exceeded that of psychoanalysis. One of the keys to his method of treatment was what he called conscious thought control. Regardless of the omissions and commissions of the past, he said, a person has to start in the present to acquire some maturity so that the future may be better than the past. The present and the future depend on learning new habits and new ways of looking at old problems. There simply isn't any future in digging continually in the past. The underlying emotional problem has the same common denominator in every patient. This common denominator is that the patient has forgotten how, or probably never learned how, to control his present thinking to produce enjoyment. So this is something obviously we see common. It's practically the standard of how we live today, is living in the past or daydreaming and living in the future. So what is that thing that they say when you live in the past? It's depression and it's anxiety when you live in the future. It's extremely true for me. My biggest problem is I am always living either in the past or the present, or the future, I mean. And it's very hard for me to be present. The way that I figured out how to be present in the moment was going on hikes with the guys. Most importantly, is completely disconnecting from this thing. I absolutely have no connection when you go out deep into nature. Nobody can reach you. No notifications work. You're present in the moment, not only through disconnecting from the modern world, from technology, but that you're doing something arduous, something difficult. We go on very technical hikes. A lot of them are off the beaten path. We're completely discovering new places. It's hard on our bodies. We'll go swimming. We'll shock ourselves with either cold water if we're going out in the winter, or with the extreme heat if it's in the summer. Feeling all of that and being disconnected puts you squarely in the present moment. And then this is when, and we'll see later on in these chapters, when you tend to get the light bulb moments of your life, when creativity, that spark, tends to hit. It hits in these moments where you're thinking of something deep in your subconscious that has been planted there. For example, trying to get hired for a job, trying to do good on an interview, trying to fix a car, trying to start a business, whatever. That creative spark comes when the seed was planted in your subconscious, but you're in the present moment doing something else. And subconsciously, your brain's working on that, but you're getting the creative juices flowing by moving. Shower thoughts is another one. You know, you've been thinking about something all day, and then you're finally in the shower and you relax. The water that hits your body relaxes you. You're present. And then all of a sudden you have this weird spark because you're not focusing on that problem. You're in the middle of doing something, but subconsciously, boom, it hits you right then and there. You know, and you have that idea. So that's kind of like the mechanism behind getting your creative juices flowing, is being present, which means you have to induce this because it's something that we're not taught. And also think about where we're at right now as we're speaking. Most of us are in an air-conditioned place. We're sitting in a comfy chair. There's nothing around us that's inducing anything, any physical touch, any smell, anything at all. We're kind of isolated from the world. And this isolation makes you numb, but also makes your brain numb to those creative sparks. Okay, so now we have on the next page on 76, about halfway through, it says continually criticizing yourself for past mistakes and errors does not help matters, but on the other hand, tends to perpetuate the very behavior you would change. Memories of past failures can adversely affect present performance. If we dwell on them and foolishly conclude, I failed yesterday, therefore it follows that I will fail again today. However, this does not prove that unconscious reaction patterns have any power in themselves to repeat and perpetuate themselves, or that all buried memories of failure must be eradicated before behavior can be changed. If we are victimized, it is by our conscious thinking mind, not by the unconscious, for it is what the thinking part of our personality that we draw conclusions and select goal images that we shall concentrate upon. The minute that we change our minds and stop giving power to the past with its mistakes loses its power over us. Here again, hypnosis furnishes convincing proof. When a shy, timid wallflower is told in hypnosis and believes or thinks that he's bold, self-confident orator, his reaction patterns are changed instantly. He currently acts as he currently believes. His attention is given over completely to the positive desired goal, and no thought or consideration whatsoever is given to past failures. Dorothy Brandel tells in her charming book, Wake Up and Live, how this one idea enabled her to become more productive and successful as a writer, and to draw on talents and abilities she never knew she had. She had been both curious and amazed after witnessing a demonstration in hypnosis. Then she happened to read one sentence written by psychologist F.M.H. Myers, which she says changed her whole life. The sentence by Myers explained that the talents and abilities displayed by hypnotic subjects were due to a purgation of memory of past failures while in the hypnotic state. If this were possible under hypnosis, Ms. Brand asked herself, if ordinary people carried around within themselves talents, abilities, powers that were held in and not used merely because of memories of past failures, why couldn't a person in the wakeful state use the same power by ignoring the past failures and acting as if it were impossible to fail? She determined to try it. She would act on the assumption that the powers and abilities were there and that she could use them if only she would go ahead and act as if, instead of in the tentative, half-hearted way. Within the year, her production as a writer had increased many times, and so had her sales. A rather surprising result was that she discovered a talent for public speaking, became much in demand as a lecturer, and enjoyed it, whereas previously she had not only shown no talent for lecturing, but disliked it intensely. And dude, this is huge. If I asked you, what would you do as if you couldn't fail? What would be something you would attempt in life if I guaranteed you would succeed in it? Can you imagine what you would try, what you attempt to do? If I told you no matter what, tell me what you want to do in life and I'll guarantee you it will succeed. What would you start doing? This is the mentality you have to have when you attempt something new in life, whatever it is. If you approach the issue, the problem, the attempt from a standpoint of I could fail, what if I fail, instead of this can't fail, here's what I'm going to attempt to do. I can't fail in starting a business. It's impossible for me to fail starting a business. How would you move forward? Because when you shift that sentence from, oh, what if I fail? I don't know if I could do this. Your brain subconsciously automatically it's the machine that goes into automatic execution of failing you and the desires you have, because that's the problem you put right in front of it. I'm not good at business. I'm going to fail. How am I going to get this loan? I don't know what to do here. And then your brain is going to drive you in that exact direction that you're thinking of. This is why it's so important to reframe the question, reframe the way you think is, what if I couldn't fail? It's impossible to fail. And I want to start a business. How do I go about starting it? And your brain starts to go in a completely different direction subconsciously and starts to solve all the little problems in a positive way. Go on.
I haven't done it in all aspects of my life, but with exercise and stuff, that's the way I think now. I basically be thinking I'm invincible. My wife actually said to me the other day, "You're not Usain Bolt," and I was like, "Yeah, but I'm pretty fast. I'm getting faster every day.
Hell yeah."
But I used to hate competitions and stuff like that. Like a race or something. And I don't know what it was, but I would just never want to do them. And when I was doing them, I'd always feel sick and stuff. And now I just be like,
You're
doing
excited.
exactly that. I am going to go do my best. I may not win these races, but I'm going to go faster than I was the time before, or I'll go longer. Set myself a challenge, stuff like that. I honestly, when I'm doing exercise now, I just feel like that. Like the way I think she says it in there, I've highlighted as well. Act as if, instead of just half-heartedly, I just throw myself fully into it.
Hell yeah. And you get excited too. You're intoxicated at the thought of maybe I can, because you're getting faster and faster. And then the thought switches, maybe I could win one of these.
And then the other part is then I'm just like, right, how do I put this into the other parts of my life now, because I've obviously made such radical changes health-wise.
Right. Yeah. It starts to spill over in all aspects of your life. It's true. Like once you succeed at one thing and that train of thought that you used to get there, you start to think that way in everything. When I got fit, that was the same thing. I was eating clean every day. I was doing this. I was imagining myself being that guy. And then I was like, wow, that worked. I did what I set out to do. And now every time I attempt something new, the confidence from completing that and the thought process I learned from completing said goal of getting shredded, now I apply to everything. I don't see myself as starting a business. I see myself as becoming a successful businessman. Starting businesses is just what I do, and I will succeed no matter what. Some people cripple themselves before they even start. They cripple themselves at the start. That's how bad it is for some people. You crush your idea in the thought phase when it's barely seeding your mind.
I have an example of that if you want.
Yes, please.
So years and years and years and years ago, I was like, right, I'm going to do a marathon. So I trained for it and I went out and I did loads of stuff, lots of training. I was ready for it. Day of the marathon, I made myself feel sick with nerves.
Huh.
And I ran slower than I had been running slow, in any run before, and I felt awful. I still finished it. Everything was good. I felt great. I did that. Proud of myself. But I also was sitting going, why did you do that? Why did you make yourself feel sick?
The power of the mind. Examine and reevaluate your beliefs. And it says one of the reasons that the power of rational thinking goes unrecognized is that it is seldom used. Trace down the beliefs about yourself or the belief about the world or other people, which is behind your negative behavior. Does something always happen to cause you to miss out just when success seems within your grasp? Perhaps you secretly feel unworthy of success or that you don't deserve it. Are you ill at ease around other people? Perhaps you believe you're inferior to them or that other people are hostile and unfriendly. Do you become anxious and fearful for no good reason in a situation that is relatively safe? Perhaps you believe that the world you live in is hostile, unfriendly, dangerous place, or that you deserve punishment. Remember that both behavior and feeling spring from belief. To root out the belief that is responsible for your feeling and behavior, ask yourself why. Is there some task that you would like to do, some channel in which you would like to express yourself, but you hang back feeling that I can't? Ask yourself why. Why do I believe that I can't? Then ask yourself, is this belief based on an actual fact or an assumption or a false conclusion? Then ask yourself the questions, and he has 4 of them listed. And it says, is there any rational reason for such a belief? Number 2 is, could it be that I'm mistaken in this belief? Number 3 is, would I come to the same conclusion about some other person in a similar situation? And lastly, why should I continue to act and feel as if it were true if there is no good reason to believe it? And then he says, don't just pass these questions by casually. Wrestle with them. Think hard on them. Get emotional about them. Can you see that you have cheated yourself and sold yourself short? Not because of a fact, but only because of some stupid belief. If so, then arouse some indignation or even anger. Indignation and anger can sometimes act as liberators from false ideas. Alfred Adler got mad at himself and at his teacher and was unable to throw off a negative definition of himself. This experience is not uncommon. An old farmer said he quit tobacco for good one day when he discovered he had left his tobacco home and started to walk 2 miles for it. On the way, he saw that he was being used in a humiliating way by a habit. He got mad, turned around, went back to the field, and never smoked again. Clarence Darrow, the famous attorney, said his success started the day he got mad, when he attempted to secure a mortgage to buy a house. Just as the transaction was about to be completed, the lender's wife spoke up and said, "Don't be a fool. He'll never make enough money to pay it off." Darrow himself had serious doubts about the same thing, but something happened when he heard her remark. He became indignant, both at the woman and at himself, and determined he would be a success. So typically, we see these types of changes in obese people. Like when a fat person has the rock bottom moment where somebody hits them with a sharp jab in their ego about their weight. They walk by somewhere and there's like a bunch of little kids, say a playground, and the kid, being kids without having that filter, go, "Oh my God, he's so fat, mom, look at how he jiggles." Something like that. And you hear these stories are super common. Yeah, all the time these stories are super common where it's like, that was the lowest point. That
That
sharp
was the
jab.
one
Yeah.
I said before about the phoning up, and the nurse was just giving me my stats matter of factly, and she told me my BMI. And then I don't think she said these actual words, but it sticks like out of my head where she just goes, "Oh, you're morbidly obese," just as a fact. She wasn't looking at me. She wasn't trying to annoy me. She wasn't anything like that. She just told me a fact about what she was looking at on a sheet of paper, and something in a switch flicked in my head.
Dude, it pierced right to your ego and stuck there. And that was it.
And it's unchanged since then. I just refuse not to eat bad now.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time you're battling that subconscious, it's like trying to not be that guy. It's just right there, right in front of you. Her comment is overshadowing your entire ego. Like morbidly obese, have a craving for bad food, immediately overshadowed by morbidly obese. Like that was your trigger point, and it's sticking with you. And that's what's essentially propelling you through everything. Now you're running fucking 7-minute miles for like 5-6 fucking miles at a time, dude. Soon 10 plus, and you're doing it all simply because morbidly obese. And I bet you when you're on the run, that plays in your head too. Like, holy fuck, morbidly obese. It's powering you through everything.
Yeah. And then I think some of that other stuff we've talked about in the book is what it is now. I see myself as a different person, and I'm that person who does that now. So
Yep.
originally it was the sting that got me there, and I still think about it sometimes. But now it's the new self-image,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm not a person who stops running faster. I that little bit more, not too much. Like David Goggins always says, there's an upper limit. And when you hit that upper limit, you don't let it stop. You just find a way to get past it.
Anybody else want to add anything or move on?
I just really like the farmer story in that particular one. I would highlight it different as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, man. He didn't become somebody else. He was the same exact person. It was a switch. It was a mental picture of himself. He saw himself as a slave. We make the mistake of thinking like to become this new person, you literally have to be a whole new person and be gifted with abilities you don't have currently. Like when you look at other people that are successful, you think there's something special about them. There is nothing special. There's nothing special about, I always say this, the man you dream of being. That is you right now in the present moment. That guy just has the discipline to do absolutely every fucking thing you dream of doing. And he shows up every single day. And therefore he gets to live the life you dream of living. It's not special, man. There's no God's gift in an individual that separates him from you. We're all gifted. We have the same ability, the power of your consciousness. It's just learning how to use it correctly. And once you figure that out, your life changes forever. Unfortunately, for some of us, we need those trigger points, like being told you're morbidly obese or passing by a kid who makes like a horrendous joke about you or says a comment, without even wanting to be mean. That's what makes it sting even more because we can bury people, actively trying to make fun of us and shit on us and bring us down a peg. That's okay. We'll just label them haters. But when it's just an off the cuff comment from a kid, from the very first thing he notices, that hurts because there's no inclination in that kid to hate you in any way whatsoever. It's not an enemy you can't make a kid an enemy. It's just it's just a passerby,
Right. It's just like very like objective, right? Like it's facts, it's objective, not subjective.
It says what rational thought can and cannot do. It says remember that your automatic mechanism can easily function as a failure mechanism. This is what I alluded to earlier when you think negatively about yourself or any situation you're attempting, as it can be a success mechanism depending on the data you give it to process and the goals you set for it. It's basically a goal-striving mechanism. The goals it works on are up to you. Many of us unconsciously and unwittingly, by holding negative attitudes and habitually picturing failure to ourselves in our imagination, set up goals of failure. Also remember that your automatic mechanism does not reason about or question the data you feed it. It merely processes it and reacts appropriately to it. It is very important that the automatic mechanism be given true facts concerning the environment. This is the job of conscious, rational thought, to know the truth, to form correct evaluations, estimations, and opinions. In this connection, most of us are prone to underestimate ourselves and overestimate the nature of the difficulty facing us. Always think of what you have to do as easy, and it will become so, said Emily Kuhn, the psychologist and pharmacist who introduced a popular method of psychotherapy and self-improvement based on optimistic autosuggestion. This part to me stuck out not only because obviously you can fail over and over if you think of yourself as a failure, you feed it that data, but the fact that this thing is just automatic and you have to be consciously aware. When we look at society today, many people like to resort to this automatic mechanism in their day-to-day life, their day-to-day thinking. As they go about their day, they want to automate as much of themselves as possible. This is where you're born into the quote NPCs of today. There are people that are literally living every day and they don't think at all consciously. They're just automatically acting upon whatever it is that they're seeing, all those external like stimuli of driving the car, going into work, typing up all the papers, whatever, getting food. Oh, I got a hunger pang, got to get food. Where do I go? They don't even think. Everything's automated. I go to Chick-fil-A and then they order the same shit. And these people are just cruising through every single day without actually being there. This is why you call them bots. This is why you're like, holy fuck, dude, is there even a person behind those eyes? I feel like I'm speaking to a robot. These people aren't conscious. You're not talking to a person. That's why most people, when they read a headline, they'll go and regurgitate. That's as far as they read. And their entire identities, their whole version of themselves is this automated thing. They're bandwagoners to everything that happens in their life. If there's a new trend on TikTok, if there's a new trend on whatever social media they're consuming, they become that trend. They then take up all the ideas of the trend that they're watching, that they're learning from. Everything's automated. They never question any information. That's why people are so like surface level today in, their character, their personalities. Everything about them is just like, wow, there's not much to you, bro. You haven't done much thinking here. Women are mostly affected by this today because of their consumption of social media And the fact that, they engage in the groupthink much more. And so they follow the herd of what's going on, what to wear, how to look. Quick way to tell like this is somewhat true is why does every woman today almost replicate the Kim Kardashian or the Kylie Jenner look? Like almost all Instagram chicks today have a certain look. They all look the same, whether it be the, pumped up lips or the BBLs or whatever it is that's the trend right now. They all copy each other without thinking about themselves. And that's unfortunate, dude. That's why you get basically cookie cutter. I'm not like every other girl. Is exactly like every other girl. Does the same. It's social programming. It is. Yeah, dude. It's social engineering. Unfortunately, we're not taught to be active consciously every day. Hey, why did I do that? Hey, that Kit Kat, I understand my basal like lizard brain wants sweets, wants sugar. I know the dopamine hit from eating sugar. It's being activated in my brain by simply reading the package saying Kit Kat. And it's like, but you don't stop yourself there. You're just on autopilot throughout the entire day. Instead of going, holy fuck, dude, I just got like my mind just triggered a desire for Kit Kat. Why? Because I had Kit Kat all those other times and the addiction to sugar. Once you break your thoughts down like this in the present, you're able to stop yourself and go, oh shit, I know these are good for me, but I can't eat these. It's an addiction. It's an addiction to sugar and it's not good for me. And then you're able to stop yourself, but you are in control. Although, it doesn't seem like that. And then people have these issues with drugs as well, with weed, with video games, whatever it is, man, you do these things automatically, especially during times of stress because of that subconscious, because you're not clear exactly on, the direction. You're not actively in the moment. You're on autopilot. Oh, I feel bad. Stress reliever. Boom. What is it? Drugs, video games, blah. A lot of people don't even understand that they're coping with stress when they engage in these. They think it's fun. They think they do this out of like, enjoyment. It's like, no, a lot of people are consuming these things out of stress, bro. It started off when you were a kid. You have no idea. You've rewired your brain this way. Like you're seeking dopamine when problems arise. That's why dudes will come home, play video games like, just blowing off stress, bro. I worked so hard today. What's wrong with gaming? You're coping. You know what I mean? It's like you're not dealing with the issue
they
of your
yell
stress.
at their computer screen.
Exactly. It's like you're not dealing with the source of the stress, bro. Like your job is stressing you. How do you get home so that you don't feel drained and stressed so that you have to play video games to, quote, relax? Like you don't understand like the cycle you're going through right now. An addict will defend his addiction to death. Like you should see the comments on porn addicts that they'll leave on videos. The comments video game addicts will leave. They're like, I'm not addicted. I play whenever I feel like it. I could stop whenever I want. It's like, what do you have against video games? What do you have against porn? What do you have? It's like, whoa, bro, you're getting so defensive. I'm just making a suggestion. Why are you riled up? It's like, if you're that defensive, then you know what I'm saying is true. It's like, it's attacking you at your core. You know you have this problem, but you can't admit it. That will destroy your entire worldview. It's very similar.
So that's technically the simps defending like the OnlyFans models or the porn stars. That's just one example I can think of, or the Twitch streamers. That's just it.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then we go on to page 85, and it says
Sympedemic. Yep.
Yeah, and it says it says keep your eye on the ball. And it goes on to say, it is the job of your conscious mind to pay strict attention to the task at hand, to what you're doing and what is going on around you, so that these incoming sensory messages can keep your automatic mechanism currently advised of the environment and allow it to respond spontaneously. In baseball parlance, you must keep your eye on the ball. Because it is not the job of your conscious rational mind, however, to create or do the job at hand. We get into trouble when we either neglect to use conscious thinking in the way that it is meant to be used, or when we attempt to use it in a way that it was never meant to be used. We cannot squeeze creative thought out of the creative mechanism by making conscious effort. We cannot do the job to be done by making strained conscious efforts. And because we try and cannot, we become concerned, anxious, and frustrated. The automatic mechanism is unconscious. We cannot see the wheels turning. We cannot know what is taking place beneath the surface. And because it works spontaneously in reacting to present and current needs, we can have no intimation or certified guarantee in advance that it will come up with the answer. We are forced into a position of trust, and only by trusting and acting do we receive signs and wonders. In short, conscious, rational thought selects the goals, gathers information, concludes, evaluates, estimates, and starts the wheels in motion. It is not, however, responsible for results. We must learn to do our work, act on the best assumptions available, and leave results to take care of themselves. This is essentially what we've always said when you hear shit like trust in the process. When you hear trust in the process, this is what they're saying. When you're walking down the street, you're not looking at your legs and going right foot forward, left foot forward, step off heel. That's the automatic part. You're looking at the bigger picture. That's what you're focused on. You're focused on the cars, the sidewalk. You're not mechanically actively saying move this muscle to make this movement. No, dude, that's the automatic portion. When you start a business, it's the same thing. You don't say, I want to start a business. You're saying my business has started. What next? And you begin through like, I got to incorporate. I got to do this. I got to do this. Your brain's already going to be working all at the subconscious level on all those things. But if you're just looking at like, I want to start a business. I've been thinking about starting a business. No, my business started. It's called this. And then your brain begins to like take all the proper steps to turn that into a reality. Everything you have to do. Don't overthink shit. Many creators report that they get their best ideas either in the shower, while waking up, while walking along the beach, or otherwise being in and around water. Perhaps the flow of water leads to the flow of ideas. The other activity that often leads to creative insights is sleeping. If you have a question you'd like to answer to, or a project you're working on that you'd like to accomplish with greater ease, you can instruct your mind before going to bed to be open to useful information and to remember it upon awakening. Keeping a notepad and pen on your nightstand to record the insights as they come in is a good idea. When you use this approach, you can quickly find yourself getting ideas that greatly surpass anything that comes to mind, anything that comes to you while you're awake. Like these random thoughts that you get. I don't know about you guys, but when I go on a walk, I'll have like light bulb moments where if I'm focusing on something, for example, in my situation, I want to do a YouTube video on the power of thought. If I force myself to write out what the video should be about, like point 1, point 2, point 3 to cover, it's going to be a struggle forcing my brain to think about the benefits of the power of your thinking, positive thoughts, how they benefit you. If I go on a walk, while that question is just in my brain, the benefits of positive thought, I all of a sudden get hit randomly with all these incredible points. And they're saying have the pen and paper ready at night when it hits you when you go to bed. But also the notes app on your phone is extremely powerful. Dude, the moment you have this stream of subconsciousness that hits you at the surface and you have these incredible ideas and they're so well fleshed out, you need to immediately start writing them down immediately. And then from there, they dovetail into bigger, more complex topics. And that's my version of how I use this little creative mechanism or how I'm able to spur this kind of stuff. But there are little triggers like this: walks, showers, naps, hikes, things that put you in the moment, present, where the question that you're having is obviously brought to the forefront. Let's make a video on this, right? And you have your topic at hand, but then you go out on a walk and you go do something that gets pushed to the back. The machine automatically is running through that problem while you're focused in the present. Your breath while on a run. You're getting the runner's high and your mind is wandering off somewhere, and then boom, you get hit with that creative, spark. That's how you should be. You don't brute force this shit. When you're trying to lose weight and you have a goal in your mind and you maybe need to be eating your meal preps and you're having a problem with making a meal prep that tastes good, and you have all these ingredients listed and you're like, what do I make with this stuff? I don't like anything. You're forcing yourself to come up with like a recipe that you would enjoy. When you force yourself that way, you're going to start struggling to come up with any decent ideas. If you were to go on that walk, dude, or take that shower, you already had that question in your mind. It goes in the back. Now you're enjoying your walk. And then all of a sudden it hits you. Oh, I could do this and this with this ingredient. Let me try that. And then boom, you just had that stream of consciousness hit you. And all of a sudden you go home with this great idea. And now you managed to meal prep at least one meal. That's great. Simply by going on a walk. Form the habit of consciously responding to the present moment. This is constantly practice the habit of taking no anxious thought for tomorrow. By giving all your attention to the present moment, your creative mechanism cannot function or work tomorrow. So think about that. You cannot be creative for tomorrow. This is a present thing. This machine only works right now in this moment. So, you don't expect to have a light bulb moment tomorrow or from the past. By living in the past or the future, nothing's happening for that machine of yours. It only operates today with the information it gets today. So imagine if you feed it information on the hypothetical of tomorrow or a previous event that happened to you, you're feeding it false data. And therefore you'll get false results, aka depression, aka anxiety, doubt, failures, whatever it is, because that's not real. When you focus on today, what could you do right now in the present moment? What is the goal you're trying to accomplish, and what can you do right now? If you ask yourself that question right now, what can I do right now? Immediately, dude, answers spring to your mind. I could go on a walk. I could go work out. I can go meal prep and go eat the food I meal prepped before. I could go read these pages that I was supposed to read, go apply for these jobs. Like automatically, your subconscious is streaming answers to you based on the questions you gave it, the data you just fed it. Stay present. Worry about what you could do today with the overarching goal you've seeded your mind with of being successful in whatever avenue, and you'll take the steps every single day to get there. This is why they say live presently, be in the moment, because that's where all the power is. There's no power in living in the past or daydreaming about the future.